Open in 1 hour in Indiana, Michigan. They'll open at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, voter turnout in today's election is expected to be low. WSBT-22's Kristen Bean is out at the polls this morning. And Kristen, this low turnout means some of the important races will be decided by small margins.
That's right. An important reminder that your vote definitely counts, especially in these smaller races. Take a look behind me. You can see this polling place. We're at the LaSalle Council Boy Scout Center here, right off of State Road 23 this morning. Still dark, no doubt in the next half hour, 45 minutes, poll workers will show up and get this place ready. Of course, the polls open at 6 in Indiana. There are no major races being decided today. These are primarily city elections. So if you live in the county, you can sit back at home. There's nothing for you to decide. South Bend, of course, will be picking a mayor today. Incumbent Pete Buttigieg going up against challenger Kelly Jones. Elkhart's mayor's race being decided as well. Former state rep Tim Neese taking on incumbent Dick Moore. Goshen's also picking a mayor. But perhaps one of the most important races, most controversial races that we'll be following today is the 2nd District Council race in South Bend between Henry Davis Jr., who's running as an independent for his seat, taking on Democrat Regina Williams-Preston. Our WSBT political analyst this weekend called both those candidates in that race flawed. Definitely going to be a controversial race there. We'll be watching it. Of course, remember, voter turnout going to be low. So this is an important race. If you want your candidate to win, you're going to have to get out there to vote. Many of these races could be decided by a small margin. We'll be watching both on air and online. Live here in South Bend, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News.
All right, Kristen, thanks very much. WSBT 22 meteorologist Abby Wepler joins us. Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning.
We're going to continue this nice weather.
Yes, if you are heading to the polls, the weather will not be an issue today. It is going to be another easy day, much like yesterday. We'll just do it again.
Flow right along.
Yes, exactly. We had clear skies overnight. That will continue throughout the day today. You see it right here in the past 6 hours of motion. Not much to show you. Temperatures right now, 46 in South Bend, 48 in Goshen, a cooler 41 in Warsaw and LaGrange. And we have upper 40s to low 50s along the lakeshore. Winds will continue to come out of the south today, anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour as we get into the afternoon. So here is your Tuesday forecast. It's not a bad one if you need to get anything done outside. Low 70s for the afternoon high, mostly sunny skies. We do, of course, have change on the way. I'll let you know how much longer this 70-degree weather plans on sticking around coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Abby, thanks very much. Now, of course, the polls are not open yet, but we do know more than 2,000 early votes were cast in St. Joseph County. That's about the same number as the May primary. City leaders say the low turnout is the direct result of the choices on the ballot.
Voter turnout is driven by the races. So if you don't have a lot of contested races, there's really nothing in the news for people to see or watch or hear, and there's no interest.
City leaders say it is important to exercise your right to vote. We have election resources for you right now on our website, WSBT.com.
People casting a ballot in Elkhart County will use vote centers for the 4th time. Crews have been busy the past few days setting up the centers and distributing supplies. They've also been training poll workers. The county is using the experience gained from the past 3 elections to make sure things work better this time around.
Every election we're finding something that we can improve so that we can have it be better for the voters, better for my staff, better for the candidates. We're trying to make it a good scenario for everybody involved with the whole process.
The polls don't open for another hour, but we're told election workers should already be in place and ready to go.
Now, don't forget, you must have a government-issued photo ID to cast your ballot. That's why Indiana's BMV is going to give you more time today to get one. The branches will open at 6 in the morning and then close at 6 this evening, which of course is polling hours.
And WSBT 22 News has everything you need to know about the races, polls, election day, and results on our website, WSBT.com. Click on the Campaign 2015 banner at the top of the homepage. We'll also bring you live election coverage all day long as those results come in.
Now, of course, while the city elections...
I'm Leanne Tokars.
And I'm Bob Montgomery. This is WSBT 22 First in the Morning.
First, fast, accurate. You're watching WSBT 22 First in the Morning with Bob Montgomery and Leanne Tokars.
All right, up and at 'em. It's election day. In about 30 minutes, the polls will open in Indiana. They'll be open at 7 o'clock in Michigan.
Yeah, and we want to get right to one of the biggest races of the day, the race for Elkhart's mayor. Incumbent Mayor Democrat Dick Moore is facing off against Republican Tim Neese. WSBT 22's Kristen Bean is out at the polls this morning. She joins us live now. And Kristen, this race really a toss-up.
Oh, yeah, going to be a close one. Still unclear this morning who will win the job. Moore at 81 is seeking his third term in office. Tim Neese at 60 seeking his first. They both have name recognition. Moore has been with the city for decades. Neese, a former state representative. Let's talk about each on the issues. On annexation, it's an issue that created division within the community and generated several lawsuits. The candidates disagreed. Moore stands behind his actions and says his administration has no plans to annex more land. Neese, on the other hand, says it was a lack of communication that was the problem with the past annexation, and he'd be more organized and transparent. On the issues of the city's LGBT civil rights ordinance, while Moore verbally committed to revising the city's civil rights ordinance, that revised portion has not yet been released or signed. Neese, on the other hand, would rather see legislation come down at the state level. Downtown growth is something both candidates see as a priority, and both candidates themselves say they want to continue to move the city forward.
I'm not done. I don't want to quit. This has been my life for a long time. This is my 39th year in this government, in one position or another.
Well, because I'm not running to come in second. I want to be a good administrator. I'm not running a Velcart for a legacy. I'm running to do a good job.
And both candidates have spent their time campaigning differently. Neese has spent 27 months on his campaign. Moore began mid-October. Both are running television ads right now. You may have seen those. Moore overall has raised more money and spent more money. Of course, the polls here in Indiana open at 6 o'clock. We're in South Bend this morning. Poll workers have just arrived to get this poll ready to be opened. Now, this is a city election, meaning voter turnout expected to be low. That's why your vote matters, because many of these races we're following today could be decided by a very small margin. We'll be following all of them. Live here in South Bend, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News.
Kristen, thank you, and we'll get to more Election Day coverage for you. But first, we want to check in with meteorologist Abby Wepler.
Yeah, Abby, no excuse weather-wise not to get out and vote today.
Right, we're not going to have any problems. I mean, this morning it's cool, but then we're back to that mild afternoon again with sunshine. It's almost going to be an exact replica of Monday. That's your Tuesday Election Day forecast. Past 6 hours of motion, nothing to show you. We had clear skies overhead overnight, and that's pretty much going to continue throughout the day today. 46 right now in South Bend, 48 in Goshen, 43 in LaGrange, 47 in Benton Harbor, and 45 down for you in Warsaw. Winds right now are coming out of the south anywhere from about 5 to 15 miles per hour as we get into the afternoon. Overall right now, though, a relatively light wind. So here is your Tuesday forecast. We're starting on average in the upper 40s, and we end in the low 70s. Normal high 55 degrees. So yes, well above normal. And these 70-degree days aren't done after today. Much more on the when this stretch of weather will come to an end, coming up in just a few minutes.
Abby, thank you. Back to your Election Day coverage, and there are several other races we'll be keeping a close eye on today.
Yeah, in South Bend, of course, incumbent Mayor Pete Buttigieg is running for re-election. He's facing off against Republican challenger Kelly Jones.
We're also watching the closely contested 2nd District race for South Bend's Common Council. Incumbent Councilman Henry Davis Jr. is running as an independent against Democrat Regina Williams-Preston.
And in Goshen, Democrat City Councilman Jeremy Stutzman is facing off against Republican City Engineer Mary Kripe to be that city's next mayor. Now, the major votes you need to watch today are not limited to city government. In Michigan, many of your votes will impact students.
That's right. Union Schools in Dowagiac is hoping voters approve 2 proposals that could mean serious improvements to its schools. Together, the bond proposals total about $37 million. The first would pay for more secure entrances to the high school and elementary schools. Bathrooms and bleachers would also be redone to be more handicap accessible. The second proposal would pay for a new gymnasium and other improvements. Voters can choose to approve one, both, or neither proposal. Now, if both pass, a person owning a home valued at $100,000 would pay about $175 more in property taxes each year.
While in Edwardsburg, voters are being asked to approve a tax hike that would help pay for a new police station and 2 new police officer positions. This is a $1 million proposal. If the tax increase is passed, homeowners there would pay roughly an additional $100 a year for every $100,000 of a home's assessed value.
Now take note, here's some important information for today. Once those polls open in Indiana in about 25 minutes, you have until 6 o'clock tonight to vote. In Michigan, polls will open at 7 and close at 8 o'clock tonight. Don't forget, you must have a photo ID to vote, and be sure to check your polling location before you head out. You can find all this information plus more election coverage right now on WSBT.com. Just click the Campaign 2015 banner. That's right at the top of the homepage.
And of course, stay with WSBT.
On several key city seats.
One closely watched race this season has been the race for the 2nd District Common Council seat in South Bend. WSBT 22's Kristen Bean is live this morning at the polls. And Kristen, this race is between two very controversial candidates.
Yeah, WSBT's political analyst Jack Caldwell this weekend calling both those candidates flawed, saying voters will have a tough choice. On one hand, of course, you have Henry Davis Jr. He's running for his 3rd term for the 2nd District Council seat. This time, though, he's running as an independent. Davis has had his fair share of controversy, and it's been well documented in the media. Most recently, though, questions about his fundraising finance report. In a campaign report filed with the county clerk on October 15th, Davis said he raised no money and spent no money for his Davis for 2nd District campaign. But then 5 days later, he submitted another report saying he had raised just under $2,000 and spent $1,600 of that. When asked about this during a public debate, Davis admitted he purposely filed the false report. A constituent has filed a complaint against him. On the other hand, in this race, you have Regina Williams Preston. She's running on the Democrat ticket for the 2nd District. Last week, the South Bend Tribune reported she owed thousands in fees and penalties for various code enforcement violations. She also owes about $13,000 in back taxes and penalties to the county. Preston, of course, had said that she's working with an attorney to solve these issues and says they ultimately stem from her husband falling ill. Now, both candidates clearly have their issues. They've been mired in controversy throughout this race. This is a race that is expected to be close. And since this is a municipal election, voter turnout expected to be low. This is one of those races that could be decided by a very small margin. Of course, we'll be watching throughout the day to see how this develops. You can get the results here on WSBT later this evening, and of course, as always, online. Live here in South Bend, Kristen Bean, WSBT 22 News.
Kristen, thank you. Our election coverage will continue, but first let's stop and check in with you, Abby, because we've had some great weather.
Yeah, we sure have. No excuse today, weather-wise, not to get out and vote.
Yes, you will have no issues weather-wise. I think the majority of you will just be outside anyways. I saw so many people trying to tackle those leaves yesterday, and guess what? You'll get another chance to do so today. Past 6 hours of motion, clear skies overhead overnight, and that will transfer into a mostly sunny Tuesday. 47 degrees in South Bend, 49 in Goshen, 43 in LaGrange and Warsaw, and 45 right now along the lake shore. Winds relatively light. Any activity is coming out of the south. As we get into the afternoon, wind speeds will be anywhere from about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So with that, here is your Tuesday forecast, starting in the 40s, ending at 72 degrees with sunshine. The 70s aren't done tomorrow either, but we do have change heading our way before the week is over. I'll track it for you and time it out for you hour by hour coming up in a few minutes. Bob?
All right, Abby, thanks very much. 6:34. You will weigh in on some other big races today as well.
Yeah, here's a look at Gripe says one of her priorities is local roads.
Now, in Michigan, many of you will cast a vote today on some important school elections. In Dowagiac, the school district is hoping you'll vote yes twice today. There will be 2 bond proposals totaling about $37 million. The first would pay for more secure entrances at the high school and the elementary schools. Plus, bathrooms and bleachers would be redone to be more handicapped accessible. Now, the second proposal would pay for a new gym and other improvements to the schools. You can vote to approve one or both or neither. If both proposals do pass, a person owning a $100,000 valued home would pay about $175 more in property taxes each year.
And there are community issues you will be voting on today as well, like in Edwardsburg, where you will decide if you want to raise taxes to pay for a new police station and 2 new officer positions. It calls for a $1 mil tax increase. If passed, homeowners would pay roughly an additional $100 a year for every $100,000 of a home's value.
Now, if you are headed out to the polls today, there are a few quick reminders to help make your election day run a little more smoothly. We've said it before, we'll say it again. The polls in Indiana are open right now. They do close at 6 tonight. Michigan polls open in 25 minutes, 7 o'clock, and will close at 8 tonight. Remember to bring a government-issued ID with you. You won't be able to cast your ballot in Indiana without one. In Michigan, you